Hola y bienvenidos a un nuevo programa para códigooculto.com y para el canal de YouTube a Enigma. Como sabéis, estamos en la serie de entrevistas del Ufology de este año 2022 y en esta ocasión estoy con el señor Clas Svahn. Thank you for being here, sir. So first thing I wanted to ask you, because I believe this is your main area of study, so please tell us, what is a ghost rocket?
It's a good question. Not many people know it, but in Sweden, of course, we know it. Ghost rockets was something that started to happen in 1946. During that year, 1,000 people reported to the Swedish military cigar-shaped objects with or without wings. Many of them just flying over Sweden, but quite a lot of them crashing down, always into lakes. And that's the mystery. All the crashes were into lakes.
Oh, interesting. Then, well, it is my understanding that some official studies were conducted. So what did they find?
That's right. The Swedish military had a special committee working for finding an answer for half a year. They didn't succeed in that. They only could conclude that hundreds of those observations were of real physical objects, more than 200. And that conclusion shows that this was nothing just imaginary. It was not happening into people's minds. It was something that they could chase. One time, a Swedish fighter pilot chased one of those ghost rockets, but he was outflown by it. He couldn't keep up the pace.
Okay. And is there still activity of this kind today?
It is, but not as in 1946. But since 1946, there have been around maybe 80, maybe 100 ghost rocket reports. And the latest I am investigating happened just a couple of years ago. And I met with a witness a couple of weeks ago. Because people are always keeping it to themselves, you know.
Yes.
They don't tell everyone. But this guy, we went to this lake with him a couple of weeks ago. And he saw this object coming, flying over the lake and diving into it. But not with a splash, because the ghost rockets had just vanished, like into another dimension.
Right. Okay, so I wanted also to ask you, is this a uniquely Scandinavian phenomenon, or does it show in any other parts of the planet?
Well, it is a uniquely Scandinavian phenomenon, to say. There are, of course, reports of cigar-shaped objects in other countries, but not ghost rockets like that, not those crashes. It's mainly Sweden, Norway, a little Finland, and a little Denmark. And outside that, scattered reports, but the bulk of it, the wave, that was in Scandinavia.
Okay. I believe there was an instance, as you told me, one of these ghost rockets actually landed, and also you organized an expedition to go to study it. So what happened?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it may still be there. That happened in 1980, that crash or landing, as you said, because it was a landing. But the witnesses saw this ghost rocket coming 100 meters above them, flying over them. They turned around. The ghost rocket turned 180 degrees back towards them. And it landed with a splash and sank in front of them. And we, UFO Sweden, have been there in 2012 and in 2014 with radar, sonar, and different kinds of equipment. We have seen that something is resting in the mud at the bottom of the lake. So we will go back again, probably in 2023.
And where do you update your new information so we can look it up?
Ghost rockets will have a special place on Facebook, and it already has. But we are updating our Facebook site, Ghost Rockets, when things like that happen.
All right. I will try to add this in the video as well so people can go and check it. So that was actually my next question. If you were going to, are you going to go back? Well, then after everything you have studied on this specific matter, what do you think they are?
That's a $1 million question, of course. I wish I could say. They are physical. You can hear them, you can see them, you can see the splash from entering the lakes. You can see sometimes indentations at the bottom of the lake. Other times stones are thrown up. It's a physical phenomenon. But what is causing it? I have no idea. I'm really, really
Any
wondering.
thoughts? You were wondering, speculating something? I want to know your opinion, of course.
Yes, I'm very bad in speculating. I want the hard facts. And
Okay.
that is what I know, really. And what I say now is not something that the Russians could do at that time, which everyone thought in Sweden, of course, especially the military. They thought that the Soviet Union was behind this, but they could never prove that. And if you look at what the Soviet Union had at that time, they couldn't fly their missiles that far away as those lakes in Sweden. So we know what it isn't.
Okay, well, that's something.
At the beginning.
Well, this issue, as I understood, became relevant enough for the US to take an interest in it. So what happened with them? Because I think it was even considered the possibility that they were not from the planet. Do you know something about that?
There were discussions in between the intelligence communities in Sweden and the US. I'm not sure what the Swedes told the United States intelligence in 1946, but when they went back from a visit to Sweden, went back to Washington, they wrote a report, said that the Swedes thought it was a flying saucer that had crashed. But you should realize that flying saucer didn't mean from another planet at that time. It didn't mean that. It meant something strange, something that you really don't know what it was. So we don't really know what they thought. They're all gone now, and there's very little documentation left, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, well, this is a really, really interesting matter, and I think it was quite unknown for the Spanish-speaking audience, so I wanted to bring it all to them. So thank you so much for speaking with us, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
The same.